I don't tend to like media aimed at teenagers, especially teenage girls, which is a bit odd considering I am one. I find that teenage media is shallow and plastic. It's a surface-level imitation of real teenage life, resembling it but ultimately being cold and unfeeling. It feels hollow in spite of, and possibly because of, the fact that teenagers are one of the primary consumers of media, in the perfect limbo state of being young enough to have enough time to consume media, while also being old enough to pay for it. Old enough to be able to appreciate drama and emotional stakes, but young enough to be easily manipulated by melodrama. Teenagers are the perfect people to sell media to, but they aren't the perfect people to make it. Teenagers are inexperienced, impulsive, impatient, and unempathetic by our very nature. It's just the way our brains are at this stage in development. So there's a gap between the creators and the consumers of media. Most creators want to cater to their own experience, speak about the things close to them at this point in their lives. So the bulk of teenage media is created by people with money as their primary objective. 21 Pilots is not most media. The band is at an age where they can still somewhat clearly remember the life they lived as teenagers and look back on it in hindsight with more introspection. They can remember what it was like to be a teen and still face many of the same problems. Teenagers are just old enough to be pushed out of their parents' shields from the real world, but aren't quite old enough to know how to deal with it. We're confused, disoriented, and afraid. We are experiencing every struggle for the first time, so everything feels huge and life-changing. A kiss or a breakup or a death feels earth-shattering when you don't yet know where it leads. We've reached the age where we've become self-aware. We understand concepts like who I am, who I was, and who I will be, but we yet have to identify those parts of ourselves. Our identities have thus far been shaped by our parents, to the point where they stop feeling like our identities. So we feel the need to rebel, because we don't know any other way to break the mold our guardians have built for us. Is it reasonable? Not particularly, but what else can we do when everything we are wasn't even chosen by us? Teenagers deal with broad philosophical concepts like identity, persona, loss of innocence, loss of life, depression, suicide, religion, nihilism, morality, doubt, empathy. And these are the things that 21 Pilots likes to sing about. And it would be really easy just to talk about these things, to just bring up their existence. Hell, in some ways, that's enough. Just knowing that someone else gets what you are going through is often enough to make a difference. But 21 Pilots doesn't just pander to these feelings. It doesn't just exaggerate them to appeal to the core emotionality of their audience. The band's songs can be seen as a bit of a roadmap to dealing with this turbulent time period, written by people who have crossed it and made it to the other side alive. It's so easy to get hurt, to hurt yourself. Suicide is the second most common cause of death in people's ages 10 to 24. This might not be the longest period of our lives, but it's one of the most vulnerable. And these songs are a message of hope to all the teens who see every tragedy as the end of the world. And it says, I know what you're feeling. I've been there, and I've made it through. 21 Pilots songs have a deep empathy. They can be brutal and they can be depressing, but they remind you that you can get through. That however hard today is, it's not over. And that
life has a hopeful undertone.
Their songs deal with self-doubt and self-loathing, like Doubt. Their songs deal with self-harm and suicide, like Guns for Hands, Migraine, and March to the Sea. Their songs deal with how we push people away, like the Run and Go and Fake You Out, and how helpless you can feel watching someone else push away from you, like Oh Misbeliever and Friend Please. Their songs deal with how hard it is to let people in, like Screen and Aircatcher. Their songs deal with the facades of happiness we wear, like Trapdoor and Johnny Boy. Their songs deal with our relationships to a greater, uncaring universe, like Car Radio and Addict with a Pen. They deal with each of these themes with pain and intimacy, like someone feeling them for the first time, but with the retrospect of someone who knows how to get past these things and needs you to know that it will be okay. In no song is this more prevalent than in Guns for Hands. The song is about the hurt and suffering that surround us, and how hard it is to watch others suffer, and that desperate desire to do something to help. The chorus line goes,
I'm trying to sleep. I'm trying to sleep. But I can't when you all have guns for hands, yeah.
The language of the song seems to paint the titular Guns for Hands as a metaphor for self-harm. So the idea that the writers can't sleep with the knowledge that people out there are hurting themselves. They feel they have to do something. And it's worth noting that I've referred to this feeling as empathy, not sympathy. Sympathy is a concern for someone that is grounded in pity, not understanding. But the writers clearly understand the angsty, melodramatic, painful point in life that the most of their audience is in. The first verse of Guns for Hands is,
I know what you think in the morning when the sun shines on the ground and shows what you have done. It shows where your mind has gone, and you swear to your parents that it will never happen again. I know what that means. I know.
the idea is that they know what people who harm themselves are thinking. And even when their parents can't understand, these people do. They are fused at the wrist, connected by the scars that they have inflicted on themselves. And they have taken that pain, their guns, and
Simply suggest my chest on this confused music. It's obviously best for them to turn their guns to a fist.
we shouldn't inflict our internal pain on ourselves, but channel it to fuel greater change. And Joseph and Dunn have done this through this confused music. And maybe the band is just melodramatic. Maybe they don't go into the themes they bring up in their songs enough. Maybe they dabble in so many different musical styles because they aren't particularly good at any one thing. But there is a raw honesty to their songs. There is a love and a hate and a fear and a joy and a big bleeding heart that these men wear on their sleeves. There is a passion and unwavering love in the cheerful melody of House of Gold. There's a deep empathy and frustration in Friend Please. There's a rebellious yet insecure spirit in Lane Boy. I love 21 Pilots. They are the reason I write songs, and one of the many reasons I write, period. There is so much pain and hurt in this world, and I want to make it stop, and yes, I know how ridiculous and naive that sounds, and it is ridiculous and naive as all hell, but you know what? Screw it. If I can convince one goddamn person in this world that they aren't alone, that this world isn't made of plastic people with perpetual smiles, that their pain and their hurt and that feeling worse than death is part of life, but that life is worth living regardless, that there is good and hope in this world, that there are people with love to give them that will fight for them and that you are worth fighting for. If I can do that, then I'm going to be okay with that. Because God damn it, at least I did something. You're right. 21 Pilots is teenage angst. But why does that have to be a bad thing?
Hold it and keep it frozen and know that life has a hopeful undertone. And I will say that we should take a day to break away from all the pain our brain has made. The game is not played alone. And I will say that we should take a moment and hold it and keep it frozen and know that life has a hopeful